or not. Today he lives. So
Huh.
I think it's a good thing. It takes the pressure off me. Makes me happy. So this is a solid granite island. That's why when the glaciers came through, they grinded everything off. So you can see on this is the Harborside Hotel. Look at all the granite. If you didn't know it was a granite island, some of the clues would be the curbs, solid granite, the sidewalks, the retaining walls, even the marquee. When you look at the conspicuous consumption, you can tell most of these houses were built between the late 1880s and the 1920s. So first the Hudson River School of Painters came here in 1844. They stayed with the farmers and they painted paintings out. At the end of the season, they took all those paintings to the galleries in Boston, New York, and Philadelphia. People saw those beautiful paintings and said, "Where's this place? Is this real pink granite?" They wanted to see, and that's how this started. This is the Campbell Soup Factory is in New Jersey. A lot of people came from Philadelphia here, Boston, and New York, because that's where the wealthy of the wealthiest was. Just to give you an idea, that's a 40-room estate with 9 bathrooms, unheard of at the time when it was built in the early 1900s. The wind change, that's what really saved it. The wind came off the ocean and pushed these waves. I'm looking to see if this is a cop, every driver. Oh, there I go, I'm gonna look good. Yo, yeah. Okay. Remember when you were young, you'd tell all your friends, sit up straight and don't say anything, here's a cop. I used to look for them like, oh my God, a cop. I'm still afraid of them. So what happened is the fire stopped on this corner. 5 Grand Hotel was burnt to the ground. 170 full-time residents lost their homes, and along with 61 beautiful mansions burned to the ground. Everybody on this side was on their own. All they could do, they made the decision, they don't have the staff and fire trucks. Every man on this island volunteered. A lot of men came from the other islands to help maintain this fire. They quickly realized this fire, it was 108 days with no rain in Maine. If you can imagine, it was the driest season ever, just to give you an idea. So, but they were, luckily, Bar Harbor was spared. Everything in this area was burned. This was a private club until 1959 when they opened it to the public. Now the original clubhouse burnt to the ground. But before it was a golf course, it was a racetrack. Because remember, this is enough. People came here to see and be seen. This was a social, just so you know, very fun. We are now officially in Acadia National Park. So maybe you heard that the parks are so overcrowded and you'll never get in them and you'll have to wait for hours and you better get there at 5 a.m. You just entered Acadia National Park, one of the smallest national parks in the national park system. It is the first national park east of the Mississippi. Season hasn't picked up yet. So, but you can see from the park loop how beautifully laid out it is by Frederick Law Olmsted. He did such a good job in New York City. They wanted him to do this. If you want to hike to Cadillac Mountain, you can hike on your right up Park. So a lot of people did. They parked on their left because you can't drive up today. There's your cruise ship, Holland America. I worked for Holland American, so they are my favorite cruise line. Just so you know, I have a lot of respect for them. They do a great job. So we kind of hide your ship. We're not each stone. There were over 35,000 stones in the park, to give you an idea, and no guardrails. So you can look at it a little more time. So that gave the hardwood trees a chance to come in. On your left, butting right up against parkland, because we are intertwined throughout this island. This is the Great Meadow. When George Dorr found out that a bottling company wanted to come in here and get onto this spring, and we're going to see people like, we can make this into a park. So here, I call this the beaver pond. So what happens, it looks kind of bad right now, but on your right-hand side, if you follow it up, you see that little teepee? That's the Beaver Lodge. He sleeps up the top of that so he stays nice and dry. And down below, he can get right into the water. He eats the bark on white birch trees. So if you'll notice, this was not a meadow with nothing. All the white birch trees, the beaver cleared those out. Now they can be destructive, but they can also really do a very ecosystem, make a lake. If this is a plane, I'll show you a bigger lake, but this beaver, you can see all. You're answering questions. What they do. That's nice.
Yeah, right.
Watch out.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Cinnamon fern.
They don't, now they're kind of doing, they're giving more of a vacation, but they knew to come out here and rest their body and soul and mind. So we're back ornate on the carriage roads. They are something, if you've been to New York City and Central Park, you saw those beautiful bridges. These bridges, they're 16 feet wide, the carriage roads. They have 4 layers of gravel and a 6-inch crown, so the water drains off into the granite culverts on the side. So it is an art form, really, to see them and to walk in through the woods on a 16 from right to left. I'm looking at the shoreline. Something big's over there. It doesn't look like it looks like a grizzly bear. No, it's not. But I'm like looking like, oh, is that a bear? It's a tree stump. But so this beaver, the water runs right to left. He has to build a dam, which we're still looking at. Jackson Labs, built on private land. George Dorr donated this to Dr. Little, who was a Harvard professor, so he could come out here one summer and work on some experiments with some students on mice from that very little beginning. So Jackson Labs is the largest nonprofit cancer research facility in the United States of America. Unbelievable, again, out here in the middle of nowhere. George Dorr, this was another thing he did. It became very popular. They came out and they really loved it here, and then eventually that's how big it is. It's affectionately known as the Mouse House because Jackson Labs, these mice have to be of the same gene family, because when you start an experiment, you want to know that this mouse, when it ended, you want to know everything about the experiment. So it's the same exact mouse. They are shipped around the world because they are so carefully bred and protected from disease and anything that could change the results. So thinking about that, Jackson Labs has 1,500 employees, over 1,500. It's the largest employer on this island. 350 of their employees have PhDs. Just doesn't mean there's a difference. Common sense. That's what I have. Well, some a little bit, but a little common sense goes far too. Look at how beautiful, because we can see because the trees haven't come out yet. So this is Frenchman's Bay coming around the other. We're coming along now around the island. Brunel, Princeton University professor, actually built this trail, as a lot of cottagers did. You can see it's closed. Why would, this is the most popular trail. It goes up 1,000 feet straight up the mountain. Look at everybody, and they fed them. You know, baby chicks eat every what? They put a glove on to mimic their mother because they did not want them to be used to humans, and they fed them. If you're from, you'll be able to see everything around because you're high enough to see above the trees. So Sand Beach is really a little inlet carved out by the waves, and it really took a beating this year. So this is the parking lot. You can park up here, you can park in this lot or the lower, and you can see a lot of people all of a sudden. We didn't pass all these people, so people have come into the park because it's 2 hands on the wheel at all times. I can't believe I just did that, but I get carried away. So this Sand Beach, the huge boulders were pushed into the Atlantic. Well, really, this is the Bay of Maine. They've been grinding around for thousands of years. Those are actually seashells grinded up to the consistency of sand. It is not sand, but it looks like the Caribbean. This water is coming in from the Laurentide out of Canada. So that cold water never gets above. So look at how beautiful though. And the trees are down luckily right now. As far as any hardwood, so you can get people just go and sit there. They don't go swimming usually. Down on your left, see the people hiking. This is a shore path. It goes almost 3 miles from Sand Beach all the way to the top at Otter Cliffs. You can see no guardrails even in the park, no fences. You can walk right across there and fall right across, go out on the cliff. This is called selective, not breeding, but anyway, if you can't stay on the rock on a cliff in a national park, then you really shouldn't be breeding. So this is the way we get rid of them. Just natural selection. I think that's what they call it. Natural selection. I'll see people out there with baby strollers. I'm like, really? This is the first time you really see the beautiful peak granite that we're known for. Potassium feldspar. Why this was being eruption as volcanoes. That peak granite came from way down in the ocean and laying on these beautiful, you can see why it's called the island of deserted mountaintops, and it was pink. So it was just something that Samuel de Champlain had never seen, or anyone. We are known for our pink granite. You're allowed to park on the right all along here, or the parking lots. You're allowed anywhere on the peak rocks. Do not go on the dark rocks because they're slippery. It only takes water up to your ankle. So that people enjoy this walk because it's flat, it's on the ocean. You can walk out on the end and take your picture. Since the inception of this park, 44 people have been killed here, which isn't really a lot when you think about it. This Park Loop Road was built from 1923 to the late 1940s, so Not a lot of, most people behave themselves. We do have a store, remember, everything in that store you can buy downtown. This is a 15-minute stop. There is a restroom. I would definitely tell you to wait. The next stop is much easier to get to. In order to get to the restroom, you gotta go up to the top of the stairs, turn left to the restroom, 2 porta potties, and to your right would be the store. We're gonna stop here. You're gonna exit, go behind the trolley so you can look for cars. The most dangerous things are the cars. This is Thunder Hole, a natural chasm coming in off the ocean, has been eroded over time.
小心别掉下去。不能下去，不让下去，危险。
Enjoy yourself. People paint out here, bring their lunch. People take a nap. It's just nice and quiet. We're going to come over an overlook on your left that you can see how the waves have come in here because the glaciers pushed all of the rocks into the ocean. So look at the beautiful pink granite. And there's the cobblestones. It is against the law to remove cobblestones from Acadia, any stone from Acadia National Park or anything. You're not to move any, not even a twig, because people don't realize who lives under there. Salamanders and things, and it's their home. It'd be like me picking your house up and only just moving it a block. You say, well, what's the difference? Because you just moved somebody's house. So cobblestones, we don't know when the next ice age is coming, so they can wipe all this out again and throw all the stones in the ocean. Boulders, but that's what this cobblestones, how they were made. We don't have beaches, we have cobblestone beaches. Sand beaches, that's why it's an anomaly. That so much of it has been grinded up with seashells. This is Otter Point. I mean, during the summer, believe me, every single inch of this, people love to sit out there. The nice thing is, because we had such massive waves, the ocean has cleaned the pink granite once again and took out a lot of things. Different rocks have been moved from what I can see, and the ocean is in much, much closer. So you can see they're trying to put the trail together because we don't want people walking on the road. This will be all cars and there's nowhere to walk. So that's what they're trying to quickly put the ocean path back in again, so people like these girls won't be walking on the road when they're trying to come by in a trolley. So it's a safety issue that they're trying to. You can still see the short path. It's going to go all the way on to water into the little bit of soil. Remember, pine trees spread out their root system like a cobweb, so they actually work living together here. From stand at this height. You would have to go to Rio de Janeiro in South America to ever be this close to the ocean at this height again. You can look at Scenic Peninsula over there. You can look back and see Sand Beach if you didn't get a good view of it. You can see Old Soaker. You can see the lobster traps. See those little colored buoys? Those are all lobster traps. And you notice they're all different colors.
Oh, really?
Because John owns the orange ones. I don't know exactly who does, but Brian owns the red and white ones. You can never touch another lobsterman's trap. You will lose your license for life. Some of these trees survived again. Because remember, the pines got their leaves, their root systems. You can see when the root system, when you look at the roots on your right of the trees that have fallen, you can see it's just a tiny little hole. They're living in about, 8 inches of topsoil. This is a beautiful way to look at the granite and look out. We are directly across from France. You can't see France, so don't be straining on me. But we are across from it. At this elevation, we have tremendous radio communication with France during World War I. So beautiful to look at, beautiful peak. Granite, because the trees usually get knocked down. If you're on the driver's side, you can look over and see how high we really are when you look over the edge. So you can, oh, look how blue it is. I'm not looking. I got 2 hands on the wheels. Remember, I lost.
No.
Look it off and say, God, it was so much fun when she almost hit those rocks. But these coping stones are heavily into the ground, so we are very, very safe up here. So as we come around this corner, we're going to actually, Alessandro Fabri, one of the Fabri brothers, he had a radio station, and then it was forwarded on to the President of the United States. So this was a major deal to have this radio here. Now this is Otter Cove. Oh, look how the boat moved, Michelle. It came up so much higher than this. Oh, I know, we could almost put it on the back of this and drag it. So this is Otter Cove. This is where Samuel D. Champlain crippled in and brought his ship all the way to the end. There was no bridge here then. And he put it on its side because this cove empties out. I think right now the tide is coming in, so it's still high tide. You'll notice when this water starts to come out, it really whips out of here. On your right is Door Mountain. We were at the base of Door Mountain when we were at the Wild Gardens of Acadia. On your right, the taller mountain is Cadillac Mountain, just so you know. That is the 1,530 feet above sea level right there on the top of Cadillac Mountain. But there's construction, so let's see. So we're right by Egg Rock Lighthouse. So they moved the military base, and J.D. Rockefeller Jr. built them a great officers' quarters because he knew the officers would be making the final decision. And away the base went, and he came through here with his road, actually. So to give you an idea how instrumental. George Dorr had power. So what did he do? He talked to the doctor. He said, if I bring Abby and the kids up here, when Abby goes into labor, will you deliver the baby? And the doctor said yes. He probably gave him $2 million. He never told Abby about it, I'm sure. But when Abby went, they rented a house. Not because he was born here, but because he was a Rockefeller. He got a lot of clout. So this is the first time that J.D. Rockefeller had a carriage road. That's only 100 each down there. You can park on your right. It's cobblestones, of course. I've seen people get married out on those rocks out there. And a lot of people just come to eat lunch and get away from the crowds in the heavy summer. So as we come around the next corner, it's called Seal Harbor. This is some of the most expensive private land on this island. Dick Wolf, producer of Law and Order, CSI. The first house you see, the big gray one, that is Dick Wolf's house. Dick Wolf right there, he built that in 2014. It's very prominent because he's right on the end of it. Next to him, up in the woods, you can just see the roof. That's the old Edsel Ford estate, built in 1923 by Edsel Ford, Henry Ford's son. You can barely see it. Purchased by Martha Stewart in the 90s. Is Jordan Pond again. You can see how big it is. Carved out by the glaciers. As the glacier ice was melting over these mountains, it crashed down and carved out this 150-foot deep Jordan Pond, the drinking water for all of Seal Harbor. You can see the 3 little white buoys sitting out there. Those buoys are monitoring the pH level, the temperature, the depth, because that water is severely protected. It's the drinking water. You're not allowed to put your finger in it. I should have told you before I released you. You're not allowed to put your finger in it. You're not allowed to put your toe in it. You can't bathe in it, swim in it, or let your dog, because that is the water that Seal Harbor drinks. That's their only water supply, luckily, on this island. This is the Bubble Mountain. If you were up on the deck, you saw the 2 bubbles from Bubble Mountains. Way back in the day, this used to be called the Boobies. And did you notice when you were looking at what kind of deck? I can only tell this except when no children are on board. So it's called the Boobies. And then somewhere in the 1919s, they changed it to the Bubble Mountains. They thought maybe that it was too risque, but that was what it was known as. And I find that even funny. Somebody's not going to hire me because I had a chainsaw incident. I don't think so. People do all kinds of stuff. So as we come around, really enjoyed the views. We're going to come up we're coming up again. We're actually going to be at Eagle Lake. This is the 2nd largest lake. It's over 3 miles long, carved out by the glaciers. Again, over 150 feet on your left. Carved out by the glacier. Imagine if we all got out with jackhammers and how long it would take us to grind out a 3.5 mile long lake, Sargent Mountain behind it. But it holds solid granite. They have no idea, I'm sure, what's 2,300 people on board. You saw the Holland American. She demands 1 cruise ship. Because, as they say, let my people run free. You're out there, no problem going into the stores or doing our shopping, stopping at the restaurants. You don't have to wait in line. Huge difference. Half as many cruise ships in town. We're very proud of that. The thought that we could think outside the box. There goes Ted. Oh, he's going to look at that. That's a co-worker. Oh, that's right, Nancy. Don't date co-workers. So that's true. That's why. Yeah. That was my bad. My bad.
There you are.
Yeah, I got it. I'm getting better.